Hello and welcome to this video. I'm FIDE Master Ingvar Jóhannesson from Iceland. I'm a little late to the party. I would have liked to finish this very earlier, but I got into some chess streaming tonight with the Puffins, the Reykjavik Puffins. We have a match coming up, so we're trying to gather players to our fan club. And I will leave a link in the description and check it out. I would love for you to join the Puffins fan club on chess.com. It would be really helpful. But today the Grand Chess Tour continues. This time we're in Croatia and it's the first round. And the first round sees this matchup: Anish Giri with white against Magnus Carlsen. Now this is one of the most interesting matchups in the chess world today. They've had, an ongoing Twitter beef, but it's more, friendly trash talk in a way. But it has had its interesting moments. And well, for a long time, Anish Giri was a very difficult opponent for Magnus Carlsen, and Magnus had some problems beating him. But seems like that. That tie has been untied. But what will happen today? Giri with white, he opened with e4. And, well, true to form, Magnus plays c5, which has been more or less his only weapon with black after the World Championship match. He has certainly been playing it in the vast majority of his games, which have opened with e4, knight f3, knight c6. And once again, if you go for d4, Carlsen will play the Sveshikov, but Giri opts for bishop to b5. Now, in the World Championship match and in the tournaments that have followed, Carlsen has preferred g6 here, when usually we end up in this type of structure. Black gets double pawns, but in return he gets bishop pair and some dynamic play. A lot of games by Carlsen in this one, but for this game he opted for e6. Perhaps, in the interest of not being too predictable. And Giri took on c6. Carlsen captures towards the center. In the other line you take away from the center with d takes c6, but then you don't have a pawn here blocking your bishop. So here b takes c6 is actually makes more sense and is the main move. However, these pawns are a bit vulnerable, and very often in these lines you have to be careful about this bishop not becoming hemmed in. So some sort of a very bad reversed Nimzo Indian. So d3 by Giri here, and Carlsen plays knight to e7, trying to stay flexible with the knight. And here the main move is queen e2, when black sort of at some point has to take a decision about this structure. What do you want to do with the d-pawn? And the white will very often try to blockade it in Nimzo's style and attack this weakness here. But Giri opts for, instead of the main move queen e2, he plays h4. And this is directed against, well, the only square that the knight can go to, knight to g6. And Carlsen sort of, answers in the same way. He prevents white's idea with h5. And now again, knight g6 is on the agenda, but on the other hand, we have weakened this square. Okay, e5 now by white. And the idea is targeting this square, and also we can imagine a knight coming here. But also the main point of e5 is if black pushes d6, we most likely take, and these pawns will be rather weak. So therefore black more often than not tries to break instead with f6, trying to keep these pawns flexible. But Carlsen did play d6 in this game, and I even believe that he said afterwards that d6 is so stupid that I don't think Giri will have checked it in his preparation before the game. So positionally it looks quite bad, and Giri did take on d6, as he should, leaving these pawns rather vulnerable. But now knight g6, not queen takes d6, because, well, you will have to move the queen again after a move like knight a3, and with the knight coming to c4. So knight g6. Here, I thought, yeah, again, knight a3 was a more natural move, bringing this knight to c4. But Giri preferred to bring the other knight, knight f to d2. This does seem a little bit extravagant, but he must have some setup in mind. Bishop takes d6. Note that knight takes h4. If I can actually get that on the board, knight takes h4 is met with knight to e4 when we're threatening bishop to g5. This being dead meat, you can't take on g2, king f1, and the knight doesn't have a square. So let's say the knight retreats, rook takes h5, and we've exchanged pawns. All that black has done is lose time, and this is advantageous to white. So bishop takes d6 was preferred by Magnus, knight to c4. And you don't want to lose this bishop, because if we are allowed to take here, this bishop will be unopposed in attacking this pawn, and that would be really troublesome. The other knight could come to like a4, maybe you could play b3 to blockade, and then just win this pawn. So bishop e7. Yeah, and this line with d6, it had only been played once before. If you go back a few moves, instead of knight g6, knight f5 had actually been played in a game between, I believe, Motilev and Fedorov. And there black set up his pawns eventually like this, and got some, for his bad structure, he got some compensation in the form of a very strong bishop on this diagonal, and this pawn formation is quite solid on the king set. But okay, back to the game. Bishop e7, the knight comes out to c3 now, bishop to a6, and we can once again mention that taking the pawn on h4 doesn't accomplish anything. If you take with the knight, now we can play g3. If you go to g2, you don't have a square back, so again I would just attack it, and this hasn't netted black anything. Also, if you take with the bishop, again g3, bishop must go back, and then we'll take on h5. So bishop a6 was preferred by Magnus, and optically white still is probably slightly better according to the computers, but seems like black is still, it's an easy position to play. And after what happened in the game, queen to f3, Carlsen now took on c4, giving up the bishop pair, but this bishop, like we mentioned earlier in the opening, was potentially quite bad because of these pawns, so black doesn't mind getting rid of it. Even though he now loses his castling right, he does get rid of the double pawn, and more importantly, after d takes c4, we get the pawn back on h4, so the pawns are equal. It's now white who has double pawns. They're not very weak, but most importantly, they're not very mobile either. And black actually has this nice 4 against 2 on the king side, and this king is surprisingly safe. Even though we lost the castling right, this rook is perfect as it is, and as we'll see. Here, Giri castled, which I don't think the computer liked, because now the king is a little bit of a target here on the king side, and it also helps to justify the placement of this rook. The knight comes back to f5 now, very secure square, there's no way to kick this knight. Knight to e2. Giri was probably worried about this square, but here, yeah, the computer starts to swing over to the black side. Even g5 might be a viable move here. But Carlsen played rook c8, attacking the queen, and he had in mind this maneuver here, rook c7, protecting the pawn, and also getting ready to take over on the d file. Bishop f4 hitting the rook, but the rook goes to d7 as it probably wanted. Open file. c3 now. Yeah, 2 points here. You take control of d4, not allowing the knight to come in here, and also you open up for the queen. So you can play rook d1 and trade off some pieces. But now the pawns are a coming g5, and note that this guy is perfectly safe. almost all the black pieces are around it, and there are no pieces attacking, so perfectly safe king. We have now rook a to d1. We can't take on f4, of course, because of the attack on d7. So Carlsen took, and now queen a8, a very nice maneuver. Sort of, using the whole chessboard. You're protecting the pawn, but also you're on a beautiful diagonal. And yeah, sort of traces of AlphaZero using diagonals and a flank pawn push to attack the king. Now the bishop is attacked, and Giri moved it to c7, but now h4, and black is just crashing through. This queen is out of play here on the queen side. h3 is coming, in some cases g4, in some cases knight h4. And actually, the game didn't last much longer. Giri played f3, but after the simple move h3, he had simply seen enough, and he resigned. And yeah, I mean, white just doesn't have a defense. The queen is out of play. You can't bring it back, because even here I have knight e3 if I want material. If we try to simplify, let's queen b3 or queen b5. The idea is to come over here. I can take this. You don't have time to trade queens, because I will give you a check and pick up your rook. And if you take on g2, simply knight h4, and the queen takes. It's incoming. And once again, check on the last rank. We can just go here, nothing going on. So remarkably, after h3, it's just game over. And yeah, the position f3 is not a blunder. There's simply nothing to do here. h3 is coming. All these easy moves are coming for black, and white just doesn't have an answer. So a very surprising 23 move win by Magnus Carlsen against Anish Giri, one of his former toughest opponents, but apparently maybe not any longer. And well, if Magnus Carlsen is winning in 23 moves with black, this will be, I guess, one more tournament that Carlsen will rack up, but we'll have to wait and see. A lot of interesting games in the first round, but this was definitely the one catching all the headlines. I might be back with one more game from the first round. It might not be until tomorrow, but there was one interesting game that I think I might look at. But for now, thanks for watching. Do check out the Puffins link and join the fan club, and I'll see you in another video. Bye bye.